Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us today. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. We're going to start out this week by talking track and field with Mason Rubarczyk. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us again.
Now, we're going to start out talking about something kind of interesting because usually when weather cancels an event, that's it, you're done. But as you said, track and field is a little bit different.
Yep.
So you somehow got into the early birdnell up at St. Mary's University. Can you tell us, what happened when you found out that this weekend or this past weekend's meet was going to be canceled and how you hustled to get that?
Yeah. Well, track and field is different than the ball sports in a lot of ways. Like this last fall with homecoming, if the team gets snowed out and they can't make it, you make a way to come and you move it to Sunday and that's the game on your schedule. With track and field, there's no set schedule. We can compete really anywhere we want, any week we want. And with the weather coming, the Superior meet, it just didn't seem like a safe thing for us to do to get on the bus and drive all the way up there with the weather coming. And they didn't end up canceling the meet. You rarely cancel a meet. If someone's willing to host the meet, they'll say, hey, we're having the meet. Whoever wants to come. And so they still had a meet. It was smaller, just the closer teams came. And obviously I knew Niels was having a meet at St. Mary's, and so I gave him a call, and he answered the phone by saying, I thought I might be hearing from you. And so just asked him if we could get into the meet. We've been in it in years past. This was actually the first year we weren't going to be in it in a long time. And so he was gracious enough to keep the entries open a little longer and let us join the meet. And that meet was at risk of not happening either because a couple teams that were supposed to come weren't able to make it. So with us being there and then Viterbo still able to come up from lacrosse, we were still able to have a meet.
Is there any difference in preparing for what you were going to do at Superior and then go to St. Mary's? I mean, I imagine everything is kind of the same, but maybe not. Is there any change that has to happen because you're going to a different place?
In terms of the athletes and their preparation, not really. I mean, it may happen that the caliber of the meet is different. The meet you were supposed to go to and the meet you go to are maybe different, but you're not really entering anybody differently. Maybe for the distance runners, if there was going to be a couple of really great athletes at one meet that weren't going to be at the other meet, they might say, hey, we'd really like to get in that race. So you may change what event they're doing because most people do more than one event. And we're kind of bouncing around which events they do each week. But from the athlete's perspective, it doesn't really change. It's just a change of venue. And then for the coaches, it's just a matter of changing travel plans.
All right.
Contacting buses and all that stuff.
Now, the other question that I would ask about that, being not as familiar with track and field, obviously you're trying to win, but you're also trying to qualify for nationals. Is there any difference in qualifying if you're participating in like a Division III type meet or a Division II meet? How does that work?
No, we could spend our whole segment on qualifying for nationals and things like that. Track and field can be a little bit confusing. None of the meets themselves qualify you for nationals. For instance, there's no regional championship that gets you into the track and field championships like there would be in cross country or football or any other sport. You're basically running times and getting distances throughout the season. They all go on a list. It's basically a national honor roll that we can all go look at. And the way they come up with it at the end of the day is a little more confusing than this, but basically it's around the top 20. Okay. At the end of the season, you're just in. And so whether we're at the University of Minnesota or we're at St. Mary's, you run a time that's fast enough to get in, you're in. So it doesn't matter when or where you do it. So that's kind of a neat thing about our sport. And because it's a stopwatch. The stopwatch doesn't lie, the tape measure doesn't lie. It doesn't matter where you do it, you ran that time.
All right, very good. And then talk about the meet this weekend. You did very, very well. I think you won almost every event that you were in.
I think so. I didn't go back and double check for sure, but I think we did. We had a great meet. A lot of good things happened. The first meet coming off of Christmas is sort of that kind of kick the rust off meet. We train all fall, and then we come to a 4-week break. I think we said last week or a couple weeks ago, it's not like basketball where they're competing all the way through break. We send our athletes home after finals, and they're on their own to do workouts. And so it's a matter of them coming back and trying to make sure we're still ready to go. So the first meet is sort of a little bit of nerves on the athletes' part. They haven't competed in a while. The distance crew hasn't run really since cross country. So it's them getting back to getting ready to compete. So, that's kind of what that first meet is about. But yeah, we had a lot of great things happen. I think 2 highlights for me were Becca Rickman, who's going to be on the show next, ran a huge PR for her in the 3K, and it just barely missed a school record, so that was pretty cool. And then Anna Rogan, who has that 3K record, ran a really solid mile, especially for a first time out. And in a smaller meet, often a distance runner doesn't run a big time because more than anything else in track and field, distance runners really key off the other people in the race. And so to have somebody there to race against really helps them. And each of those girls were far enough out in front of the pack that it was really just them and the stopwatch. And so for them to run those times is pretty big. And then we have a freshman who's coming off of a knee surgery, her first meet back, so she wasn't able to jump her main events. Ashley Lockington is her name, but being able to get in this 55 meters and the 200 meters, that was a big deal for us and for her to be able to compete again, and she did well. But I'd say those are probably the biggest highlights for me.
All right, so obviously a great meet. So what do you do between now and Saturday in your next meet to prepare for that, to maybe do, I don't know, can you do better than what you did against St. Mary's?
Yeah, there's so many things that are different about track and field than all the ball sports, as I always say. And it's not like we come out of a game and say, hey, we won, but this went wrong, let's fix our defense or our offense or whatever it is. With track and field, it's really just you're looking at the long haul. You're trying to get yourself to be in your peak condition at the end of the season when the championship meets are. So it's a matter of, yes, you do look back and say, what did we do well, what didn't we do well on an individual basis? But really it's just about getting back to training the next week. And you hope to be better the next week, but your training cycle doesn't always allow that to happen. In the middle of the season, you're training heavy and your body just is beat down a little bit, and you may or may not do better the next week. And that's always the goal. But really, it's about getting out and competing the best you're able to, and learning how to compete better, so that when the training catches up to you at the end of the season, you've learned how to compete the way you need to compete, and your conditioning is where it needs to be at your best at the end of the season when we're hitting those championship meets and final qualifying opportunities for nationals.
All right, we have about a minute left in this segment. So at this point, when you're having meets maybe every week, every 2 weeks or so, do you want your athletes to be lifting? Do you want them to be practicing their event? What do you want them to be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. We lift all the way through the season. I think twice a week with my group. I think the other groups are the same. We're training hard throughout, just the periodization, to throw a coaching term out there, but kind of the ups and downs of you train hard and then you've got to recover, and then train hard and recover, and that just keeps on going through the season until the end, and then you hope that the recovery at the end is higher than at any other point in the season. So yeah, you're really training through, hoping to get better each week, but again with your eyes set on the end of the season.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warrior Report. When we come back, Becca Rickman will join us right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-60.
I will find you the perfect house.
I know exactly what you want.
All you have to do is
love it.
or list it.
Oh, they'll love it.
Seriously?
This house has so much potential, it's ridiculous.
Love it.
As a designer,
As a realtor,
it's my job
to listen. I got a great house that they love.
Yeah, just remember what this used to be. Yeah, bring it.
All new, Love It or List It, Monday night at 9 on HGTV.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona, and joining us now is Becca Rickman. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to first talk about this past weekend, because you almost set a school record. You did set a personal record, I guess, in your 3,000. But you won your event by a minute or so. As Coach was saying, you're kind of pacing yourself by what other people are doing, but when you're out to that kind of a lead, do you realize that you're out to that kind of a lead, and what's going through your head in that moment?
Really, I'm just focused on the race for the most part. Not so much what's going on around me. That kind of becomes a little bit distracting. But for that race, I ran with my watch the whole time, and clocked every lap, all 15. But yeah, which I kind of get a hard time about because it's like possibly wasting more energy, but it does me well. So that's what I think about a lot.
So do you realize that you're out ahead and how far ahead you are while you're running, or do you just
not at all.
focus on yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. When you see that, what's going through your head as a coach when you see somebody out to that kind of a lead?
I don't know that I think about it. I don't think about them in relation to the other people. You know, and in a championship meet, of course, you're thinking about that, wanting them to win. But at the end of it, like Becca said, it's just a matter of running your race and knowing that you're doing the best that you can. So just kind of focused on what that athlete is doing and are they keeping up with what they're trying to do, not so much where are they in relation to the other athletes.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go back a little bit, and we're kind of jumping around a little bit in this interview, but I want to go back to your high school days in Illinois. I think you were a state champion with the team in Illinois.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that was like to win a state championship?
Yeah, we actually ended up tying down to the very last point, which was crazy, but we had a really good sprint squad and then some strong distance girls as well. And we just really came together on all the relays. And then we had a couple of really good individuals. One runs at Grand Valley State now, one runs at Lewis. So they're in the same division as us, which is cool. So we do get to see what they put up to as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I ran the 800 in high school, and I think I've only ran one 800 in college. Probably have to pay me to run another one. Yeah, and now I run the 3K, and hopefully I'll run the 5K later this season. I would never go back short distance, but in high school I never thought I would go this long distance, so it's kind of cool to see the transition.
Okay, I want to ask a couple of things that are kind of unique to you, because when you ran in high school, your senior season, you were both a soccer player and a track athlete in the same season. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that and how crazy that year was.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was. I sat down with both coaches and I was like, I really want to play soccer and I really want to run track. And track was my passion at the time. And this is actually my junior year of high school, so I hadn't decided what I was going to do in college yet. And they were like, okay, if you can make it work. So I color-coded a schedule. I'm going to be here on this day, and I'll come to this meet, this game. And the season worked out perfectly that I didn't miss one game or one meet. So I'd go right after school, I'd run my workout, and then I'd run over to the soccer field and then practice with the team over there. But it was busy. It was very, very busy, but it was a lot of fun.
All right, very good. And then the other thing that I read about you that was kind of unique is that your team went to state one year because of a video that your mom shot. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, so it was at our sectional meet, and so automatically qualify 1 and 2, and then you can qualify as the rest of the squad if you hit a certain mark. So it was like 950, probably 58. And we had ran well below that time. Well, during our race, the sectional host had lost the timing, or had lost power, so their timing system went out. And they didn't have any backup timers, which you're supposed to have. So anyway, my mom had took a video of the entire race from the start, when the gun went off, till when the last person finished. So we brought it to the IHSA officials, and they hand timed it, and we got our team qualified because we had ended up getting third. So they automatically took first and second. And we were like, we ran the time 11 seconds faster than we have to. Like, you can't even mess that up on a hand time. And they were like, sorry, we can't let you go. And so we hand timed it on the thing. And he was like, congratulations, you guys made it to state. And everyone went wild. And then the team behind us ended up qualifying off of that video as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story. All right, present day Becca, what do you do to get ready for this weekend's meet?
Well, I work out Monday, Wednesday. So having those 2 big key workouts definitely motivate me, help my confidence levels for sure. If I can get those workouts done and I can get through them, then usually I have like 2 recovery days and then I have my race. And it's really just like taking the 2 days before very easy, getting mentally in the zone that I need to be in, and then of course writing down what I want to do. If I don't go in with a goal, sometimes it gets crazy out there, or I end up wasting the opportunity instead of having something written down and really going after it.
All right, well, we're out of time, but do you have a goal written down yet for this weekend?
This weekend I'm running the mile, so not yet, but Not Wednesday yet, so
Okay.
we'll get there.
All right, well, thanks for coming in, and good luck to you guys this weekend.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, we'll talk gymnastics with Becky Rolbecki right after this.
The excitement. The Big Ten basketball on BTN.
Oh my goodness! One man wrecking crew. And he is fired up. How sweet was that? Oh! Are you kidding me? Oh, that was nice.
Big Ten basketball all season long on BTN and the Fox Sports app.
Exclamation point!
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. We're going to talk gymnastics now with Becky Rolbecki. Thanks for coming back here.
We're so happy to be here.
And thank you for kind of delaying the taping until after your meet on Tuesday, because we wanted to talk about what happened against UW Eau Claire, and you were able to get a win, so congratulations on that. However, as we were talking off camera, it's still an injury-plagued season for you.
For whatever reason, fate is not dealing us a very fair hand at this time. Our injuries, thank God, are mild injuries, but they're pulling people off, keep people on each event off. So we're filling holes with brand new routines. So we don't even know our true colors yet. And so that's the frustrating thing is like, if we could find that out early in the season, who we are, and find that success and hit those numbers that would put us in the middle of the hunt, you can grow from that just from the comfort of knowing that you're in the mix. And right now we haven't found that path, and it might be a couple meets yet before we get to that point where we get all of our stronger kids back in the events that they belong on and can see who we are. But at this point, we are just trying to reinforce that, you know, should we have an opening lineup, make sure that the routine that you're going to offer is equal to what we're taking off and you're replacing. And so some of these kids found out that they didn't put in enough effort or enough reps or numbers last night to do that. They have the routines, but they don't have the experience. So I'm sure today when we meet, they're going to be, oh, I want to make sure I get a lot more of this and this and this in so that they can be successful. But it's important. I mean, we have 23 kids and we don't carry 23 so that 7 or 8 can sit by and watch people compete. Mm-hmm. We have 23 people because we intend to use you. And when it comes to injuries like this, we competed every kid last night that we have on the roster that wasn't injured. So the door was wide open.
All right, and then when we were talking to you, didn't have an all-arounder because of injury again.
Right.
Can you tell us about what happened there?
Well, Anna's still coming back from an ankle injury, so we need her badly because she's very strong in all 4 events. We did get her back on bars last night, and she came through for us and did the first dismount she's done on that injured ankle at the meet. So, and it went well for her. She was okay. So it's nice to have her back on that lineup, but we do need her on the other events. And then another strong kid this week, Jonica Jordan, did a number on her thumb on a release on bars, and she's got a great bar set for us. She just got a full twisting Yurchenko, which is a superior vault for us, and we were anxious to show that off. And she's also going to do beam and floor. And so she's sitting out now. You know, we have another all-arounder, our Canadian, Bree, and she hasn't been competing yet. She's still coming back from an ankle injury before Christmas. And we've got Megan sitting out now, who's really important for the vitality and the fired upness about the team. And she's sitting out with a chest sternum bruise. And without her in the lineup, that takes out some of the dynamics. So we need to get our pieces back together. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see who we are when we get it all together.
So maybe it was even especially impressive that you were able to get the win yesterday against UW Eau Claire, specifically because you go on 2 of the events, but then on 2 of the apparatus, things kind of went away from you.
Well, actually, I was very happy with our bars. We had a few breaks in it, but they recovered, so we didn't have a fall over on bars. So I thought they did well. They still have a lot of growing to do over there and clean up a bit, but they hung on to their routines, and we didn't have to count a fall there. On vault, we didn't have to count a fall, and we had a couple new players on vault. On floor, we had a couple brand new routines that came in, and they held their own and did well. So between those 3 events, I was like, I'm well satisfied with the growth of this team. A lot of the things we worked on, they were doing, and we were looking good, and I felt positive. And our last event, unfortunately, was beam, and it's just so disappointing to have that happen 2 meets in a row, because we thought we were kind of over that, and our upperclassmen that are great beam workers didn't do their job to make the ones underneath them feel comfortable. So we had the young freshmen that were new going up into lineup behind the senior leaders, and when they're faltering and not doing well, it's hard for the other kids to have that belief, oh, this is easy kind of thing. So that really was the low of the evening, is the beam squad. The other 3 events, I saw a lot of growth, and I was very excited about a lot of things that happened for us.
But it seems like all around, taking a look at the scores, everyone scored low on beam. So, I mean, was that just kind of a theme of the night, that everyone just kind of struggled?
The judging is so different in different areas and different judges, and some deduct more for minor sins and some hit you heavier for them. Like Sunny hit her routine, and I thought it looked great. She did the things that we'd been working on to get her jumps and leaps better. She stuck her dismount, and she went 8.5 from one judge. So I thought it was flash strong. I thought it would have been higher, but you roll with these things. I mean, if that's how they perceive us, then I guess we just have to get better so that they can't take that from us again. So, but it's a very subjective sport, and we just have to roll with that. And if you hang on to that anger by not getting the scores that you felt that your team thought they deserved, I just have to keep reminding the girls, look at your performance. Was it better than it was before? Have you improved, you think, in performance-wise? Then you did your job. And the score, we just have to roll with it, because they are going to be varied.
Okay, we got a couple minutes left in the segment, so I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about the wins that you had on vault. Haley Bryant came away with a 9.25. Talk about that routine.
She struggles on vault, and it's not her favorite event, and we keep pushing her to stay in there because she is capable, but we have to coax her and go slow with her to get her reps and numbers in, because she is fearful of it and doesn't enjoy it. But she popped her vault up yesterday and hit the layout position very nice, and it was really fun because she's like, Bex, I didn't even cry, and I got that, so she was excited, we were excited. It was a really pretty vault.
Okay, and then on floor, you had the top 3 scores there, so tell us about that.
Like I said, our floor has made some great strides, and we've done so much work trying to get them so that they can be more exacting and cleaner, and their presentation is better. And like Shell hitting a 9.5 again, I'm like, gosh, we don't get those until late season. So, when we add that in, Katie Curtis went into the floor lineup for the first time this year, hadn't really done any good routines in the gym, solid ones. Last night, knocked it out of the park, did a beautiful routine for us. And Ken's getting gorgeous performances, and she got a score that I thought was a little bit lower, but she nailed her routine, and she's been kind of dealing with a nagging injury, so a lot of good things happened on the floor.
All right, very good. We're going to take a break here on Warrior Report, and when we come back, Megan Tran will join us right after this.
Now we finna show y'all what we made of. You really think you ready? Rebel battle test to check the resume. Was taught to act first and never hesitate. I'm also at my best when the pressure's great. Hit opposition like a train, watch them levitate. You standing face to face with a destroyer. You think you ready for the smoke?
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Megan Tran joins us. Thanks for being here today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk a little bit about coming back from injuries. We talk about that a lot with different athletes, just because everything is unique, and including how you recover from things. And you had an Achilles injury that you recently came back from. Tell us about what the injury was and what that recovery process was.
So I hurt myself probably the end of January my junior year, and it was kind of hurting like the week of, and it's not that I landed short or anything for it to start hurting. It just kind of started out of the blue. So then the day that I tore it, I felt it. I just kind of crawled off. My trainer came and helped me out with that, and I don't know if you remember, we had the negative 30-degree weather last year.
I remember that.
That is unfortunately the day I also had my surgery.
Oh.
So that actually went super well for me, and the recovery process, I mean, for me, it was more just trying to figure out, like, how am I going to get to class, especially with all the snow we had last year. But also another big thing for me was just worrying about my mental health. And, you know, you hear things about fighting that and making sure you go outside and get to class or, like, go be social. So I actually never ended up missing a day of class because I said even crutching or scootering out through the snow is going to be somewhat of getting outside to help with that, and seeing my friends in classes to help with that. And the process actually was a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. The doctor said it would be about a year before I came back, and I actually did the skill that I tore it on exactly 8 months afterwards. So I'm also kind of a beat the clock kind of girl. But honestly, the recovery process to me, I actually wasn't as hard for me as I thought it was going to be versus for other people, just because I wanted to do it not only for myself but for my team, and getting like into rehab and things like that. I'm just like, if I can do this correctly and do it the right way, I can get back sooner into the gym with my girls and with our team. And that was really my biggest motivation, was getting back for them so I could be a part of that team again and doing the sport that I'm really passionate about.
All right, kind of going off one of the things that you mentioned in there, what was it like the first time back in the gym when you knew that you would be able to practice and that everything was going to be okay? Were there butterflies? Were there nervousness at all?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely butterflies and nervousness. There's also like a lot of self-doubt because you haven't been on your ankle, or you haven't been building that strength for 8 months. So it's just, you're scared of doing your skill just for the landing. It's not yours. I wasn't really scared of the skill itself, but of how, like, if my ankle was going to roll because it wasn't strong enough. But I mean, I had my trainers, my coach, and all my teammates, they're supporting me, and they gave me the confidence that I needed to throw these skills, and it actually went pretty well. So.
All right. What was it like to get her back from injury?
Well, I can remember after the surgery, and she was healed enough to be comfortable getting around. And I remember she came to me and she's like, "So, Bex," they always call me Bex, is there any chance that if I should work really hard that you would take me back next year? Or is that a goal I should not even look towards? And I'm like, well, absolutely. If you have the drive, Megan, I want you back on the team. She developed into a really strong leader last year, and then when she was pulled out with the injury, it was a hole that she filled, somewhat. But when you're not working out with the kids, it's harder. But I think she was afraid that I'd be like, that's foolish, and you won't be as strong, and maybe I don't want you injured or whatever, and which never would be a question in my mind. But anyhow, I'm like, hey, if you've got the power and you can turn it on, Megan, go ahead. I'd love to have you have another year. So she worked very hard and just stayed very positive through the whole healing process. And it's a pleasure to have her back doing what she can do for us.
All right, we're almost out of time, about a minute left in this segment, but I have to get to, you're from Madisonville, Tennessee.
Yep.
How did you end up in Winona from Madisonville, Tennessee?
So my coaches, my old club coach, her daughter, she was looking between here and Stout for gymnastics, and that's how I first started hearing about Winona. And then we came on our recruit visit sometime in October or November, and I visited both here and Stout, and I just met the girls, met Becky, and it was so personable for me, and I decided like this is where I wanted to be. And being from Tennessee, I still feel like even if I didn't do gymnastics here, there's no other place I would want to be. I've made such a great connection with the people in this state and everything, so.
Oh, that's very good. And then last question here, when do you think you'll be back after your latest sternum injury?
Oh man, I'm ready to be back anytime. Like, hopefully, I'm gonna start doing some things today and tomorrow. I think I kind of strained it a little more yesterday, just screaming at the top of my lungs for the girls yesterday. But hopefully this Friday or for sure next Thursday. I mean, I'll really just push through. So.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today,
Awesome,
and good luck in your next meet.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching Warrior Report here on TV 25. We'll see you next week.